Cat, it's Maximus here. This is the premium next generation Harbor Freight Ames laser distance measurer or laser interferometer. This is the upgrade to their previous unit, which was a 100-foot or 30-meter. This is a 60-meter range, and it has a whole bunch of features and options. The long and the short of this thing is, one, I got it as a return, and I can see why. One of the features it has is this is able to do triangulation, and it has a built-in electronic bubble level. That's using an accelerometer just like cell phones, and it just is not, it's calibrated flat, but just isn't great. When you put it on its side, it always ends up reading a few degrees off, and the reason that's an issue is because this thing, you know, is first $70. I got an open box, surprisingly enough, purple tag for $40, and I can really see why. Generally, I'd recommend against this Harbor Freight one for $70. These things are, there's 100 different brands. They're just a flood of the market of these laser distance measures. Go on Amazon, eBay, you know, pick your favorite. And you can get some amazing ones for the $50 range. This one tries to dazzle you with having an accelerometer-based electronic bubble level. You know it's accelerometer based because if you watch this number here and I start swinging it back and forth, I don't know if the camera will really pick that up, but it's jumping up to 10 to 20, and that's how you know it's accelerometer based. But it's just, there's no way to recalibrate it, and it's really unfortunate. Also, you can see on the camera the little dot, actually, it uses an LCD dot matrix screen that's color. It seems pretty nice, but like this dot flickers, and that makes it pretty annoying, even though it has all these different modes, like a triangulation mode. The triangulation mode means that you can point it somewhere, get one measurement, that would be this purple line here, and then point it down, get the second measurement. Get the second measurement there, and then it'll tell you the yellow line. So it's based off right angle trigonometry. But it has some other interesting modes where you can actually do dual right angle, where you can be standing at a wall, take the measurement at the top, the middle, and the bottom, and then it can tell you how tall the wall is, so that's a little bit neat. It also has this one where you can do a sector, say, I don't know, how much space do I have on top of those shelves, and so you can kind of use the same thing, as well as standard modes like, you know, area and volume and that type of stuff. It's just unfortunate that they have this accelerometer-based level and that it works when it's flat. It seems pretty darn accurate if we have it, you know, flat on the surface. This table is pretty darn flat. You can see the numbers are pretty good. It's just a big issue with this thing is that it just isn't super accurate. If we turn it on its side, it's just like no way for me to really be able to, oh, it's acting particularly bad. You can see that. You can see the dot. I'll get it up vertical here, and you have to tilt it this way, and you can see that number climbing. But if you have it on some kind of odd surface, it's just giving you just totally random readings. These are just, this reading here just has no basis in anything, and that's really the unfortunate part about that. And I assume why it was returned is the fact that it's using a 2-axis accelerometer, which fails under certain circumstances and really is only good when it's flat or in a vertical position. And since it doesn't have flat sides, it doesn't really want to sit absolutely level. And so when you tilt it, that affects this 2-axis accelerometer, you know, negating the whole purpose of it. I'm still going to use my 2013 Bosch. That's what I recommend doing, is buying an old Bosch. At least it's going to be accurate. This thing also tends to read quite a bit off. I mean, if we take, and we'll go ahead and this thing does come with these little target cards, which are like Post-it notes that you stick on the edge of a table, which I thought was a good idea. But giving you some extra cards, a lanyard, a screwdriver, doesn't make up for putting a color screen on one of these so it can have a electronic bubble level, but using such a poor quality one that it's going to end up causing people to have inaccurate results, which is really unfortunate. Laser interferometers will never replace a traditional measuring tape, not by a long shot, but they are handy, especially for distance measuring. But they really need to work well. You know, I would recommend the old 100-footer over that one just because it actually has flat sides like it's supposed to. It doesn't have some funky electronics and is trying to do triangulation. This Bosch does triangulation. What I really like about the Bosch is actually this traditional LCD display is easier to read. As you can see on the camera, this is just super easy to read, where this one, not the easiest thing to read at all. The other thing that I don't like is, like on the Bosch, when you do the triangulation mode, it flashes exactly what line that you're shooting at the moment to make it simple. On this one, it's doing it colored. So in the bright sun, you can't really make out the colors very well, and so you just have to get used to it. But it's just a little bit nicer on the Bosch. Even though it's an older unit, it's more user-friendly. Oh, and I should talk about this, which is the case. It does accept a lanyard, but it's a very thin lanyard thing, receptacle, and it will easily break, is this case. So it comes with a case to help prevent you from beating it up. Too bad the case, you can see that's pushed all the way down, and the case doesn't even fit the product that it's supposed to, so that's another nasty oversight. So this thing is really pretty darn overpriced. It does generally seem to measure accurate, but it seems to be about a 1/16th of an inch high or long. And the ergonomics, these really should be have very square bodies, because you're really depending on putting these against surfaces to get your appropriate measurements, and you don't need these things wobbling around. That's why, surprisingly enough, the older one with its boxy structure actually functionally was okay, because it just fit everywhere. And that's, of course, the same aim the Bosch has. Although the Bosch for the triangulation depends on the bubble level, which is much better, more traditional, just easier to see in especially the daytime. Not as easy to see, obviously, at night, but this can be seen by a variety of different angles. And it's just a simpler and easier way of dealing with making sure that the unit is level, as well as having a nice base. You know, it uses 4 AAAs instead of 2 like on these others, so it actually lasts longer, more substantial. And one of the big deals on this Bosch is it has this flip-out leg, and of course on all these units you can, right here, adjust it so it's wherever the, where it's taking the base measurement from. And like on this, this unit we're actually talking about, you set it from the top, the middle, which is a little bit odd on this one because it kind of shows it at the button, but there isn't a distinctive line, so you don't really know what it thinks the middle is until you measure it and mark it, which is also frustrating. And of course the base of the unit. On the Bosch, it's designed to make a little bit more sense, because you have the top, you have the middle, and you can see that line really is pointing right to this blue bar between the keypad and the screen right here, so it makes it real obvious. Of course the bottom, and then this post, which allows you to stick it into a variety of tight places. You can stick it right into a corner. It's really a pretty big feature, as well as being designed properly so it still sits straight. And of course other quality differences, like the laser has a really, if we can just get, there you go, has a really nice coated lens on it, where on this Ames unit it's not very good. There's also some type of deal where it resists particles. This lens has always resisted more particles. This is the amount of dirt that was on this just getting it out of the box, and I've had this Bosch for years and have just dusted the lens every once in a while. So that may be intrinsic, but really, I think for 70 bucks, as soon as I looked online at these things, I thought this one is frustrating. Other units that may not be, this may have a defect or something, and that's why it's having the accelerometer issues, but nonetheless, it's still disappointing. And the fact that, you know, this one basically does most of what you need. It doesn't have the neat little bubble level or the triangulation, which is a diminishing, kind of a diminishing returns. This is the one I would get, just because it's boxy and it's convenient and it's small. And if you're going to spend the kind of money, you just can't do it at Harbor Freight. I was looking on eBay. There is a mountain of Bosch laser distance measurers for less than $70, that's for sure. And I would definitely recommend a Bosch over one of these. And so that's really kind of the end of the review of this. It's kind of a neat little electronic device that's supposed to kind of dazzle you with the bubble levels and, you know, 500,000 modes, but it doesn't really matter if the thing just, you know, doesn't want to work properly. It's really pretty disappointing. I mean, if I get this thing absolutely level on this Bosch, we can see it's like reading 50 degrees just because I have it tilted. Really, that's like not good. And it's a significant oversight on a device like this that's going to depend so much on its electronic level. They really should have just put a bubble on it like they did with this old Bosch. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.